Ever since I was younger, I was into video games.
Somebody like the fuse so I can bring bad news to all these crews who can't NBA jam with the shoe.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Blind battle beer time. I figured this would be a really fun blind battle beers to do. We recently reviewed Elder Fu, collaboration with Russian River at North Park. I was gifted a couple cans of that. So I was like, what else can I do with the other cans I have? So we just did double dry hop Pliny versus Pliny. And there was a lot of people who commented that they thought that Elder Fu was like a fun mishmash of Hop Fu and Pliny the Elder. Someone had said I should do Pliny versus Elder Fu versus Hop Fu, but I'm like, I don't, three of those in one video would be too much. So I might have a can of Hop Fu somewhere that I could do one more video of the other can that I have left. It would just be a little bit older of a can, so I don't know. Maybe I'll see if North Park releases Hop Fu here in the next week or two. So anyways, both of these are 8%. My wife helped me do this, so here we go. We will start with the appearance. I will say that this glass has a lot of head and lacing. This one does not, but they look the exact same. Like, it's not like this beer is over-carbed. They both have a good amount of bubbles in the glass. This one, I mean, they're both ice cold, but this one might have a little bit more of a chill haze on it. They're both clear, but this one looks maybe a little hazy. I don't know. I guess on appearance, this one looks much more green though, like that green hop hue. Maybe this one's the super hoppy beer. I don't know. Obviously these are not the same beer, but I just figured it would be fun to do this. So we'll see which one we prefer or which one we think is better. As per usual, I always start with the glass that's closest to me. It's the Ryu glass. So let's smell this thing. Oh, this was canned February 10th. This bottle was January 28th. So they're both really, really fresh. This bottle's 2 weeks time of recording. This can is like 5 days. This beer smells fucking awesome. It smells dank. It's funny because in the double dry hop Pliny versus Pliny video, just thinking about that, the Pliny bottle that I had was very citrusy, and the double dry hop beer was very earthy, funky. This is not earthy or funky, but it's also not citrusy. It's dank, it's floral. Actually, there's like a grapefruit note to it, but not like a big orange presence like the last one that I had. It smells super good. Dank floral, pine, like grapefruit, like resinous grapefruit. Gosh, I was expecting to be like, oh, this is easy because this is going to be way more explosive than this one. Okay, so this one has more of like that candied hop thing, hop candy. When you smell them back to back, this is more of like a new school West Coast IPA. But we also talked about how Pliny has become more of a new school. It's evolved. This has like a red berry note to it, like tropical. It's super like hard candy, like a Jolly Rancher, which I didn't notice like drinking it. That's why it's fun to drink beer side by side. Like drinking it by itself, I don't think I noticed that Jolly Rancher thing. If this is Elder Fu, which I think it probably is. This is very bright. There is citrus to it. But yeah, it's like red fruit. It reminds me of like drinking whiskey when I get red berries. Not as piney and dank and resinous as this one. Yeah, let's go ahead and taste this one. Cheers. That's fucking delicious. I didn't smell very much citrus, but this has a citrus aspect to it. This is very pithy, like lemon peel, orange, floral, grassy, bready, sweet on the finish. I think this is Pliny. Gosh, these recent bottles of Pliny that I've had are just fire. I mean, this beer had, you can see the lacing, so there was a lot of head when it got poured. It's very prickly on your tongue. I like that. Super like dry on the finish though. We talk about hop saturated. This is very hop saturated. But this is, yeah, floral, lemon, peel, grapefruit zest, orange, piney, grassy, bready on the finish. I think this is Pliny. Fucking awesome bottle. Cheers. Good night. That like red berry thing in this one, fucking so good. It's hop candy. So there have been people that I chat with about New School West Coast IPAs. And a lot of people say that the one thing that they don't love about New School West Coast IPA is the candied aspect to it. This beer is candied. It's candied hops. I talked about like Jolly Rancher smelling it. It's like having like a red Jolly Rancher. It's definitely citrusy and there's a dankness to it, but this is very like hop candy. Is there mosaic in it? I can't remember if there's mosaic in this beer. There is. So, I mean, I'm guessing that's the mosaic that we're tasting, like that red fruit. Sometimes we get blueberry from that. It's very berry forward. This beer is fucking awesome too. But not as, I mean, there's a pithiness to it. Not as pithy as this one. This one's much more like bitter intense, like grapefruit rind. This has a bitterness to it, obviously. It's a good hop bite. But this is much more new school candied hops, red fruits. It's like sweet oranges, I think. And finishes really, really dry. Breadiness on this one too, sweet on the finish. 8%, both of these beers are fucking crazy drinkable. But this seems pretty easy just because drinking them side by side, this seems, yes, it has more of a new school vibe to it, but it drinks more old school compared to this one. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be shocked. Yeah, this tastes like Pliny. That's a fucking awesome bottle if that's what that is. Yeah, this is much more candied, new school, fruity hops. Not as like intensely resinous as this one is. This is more lemon, biting, pithy. So it's like, what do you prefer? I think the old school, like hophead in me, drinking them side by side, this one seems less sweet. This one, just because that candied hop thing makes it seem sweeter. And not that it's a bad thing, but drinking them side by side, you can just tell this is a sweeter beer as far as like that hop sweetness, which sounds weird because usually when you think sweet, you think malty. But as a dude who's just, I really, really fell in love with IPAs like 2010, 2011 West Coast IPAs. The dank, resinous, like pithy grapefruit of this one is just like a preference. Both of these are insanely amazing West Coast double IPAs. They don't drink like 8% at all, but it just feels like this one's much more new school. So I would say this is this, just because there's a whole mess of new school hops in this. I don't know what the Pliny hop bill is these days, but I think I prefer this one just because it's more of that old school vibe. And the only bummer about this beer is it's a one-off, so I can have this all the time, which makes me happy. This beer is fucking incredible. I've said probably the best beer I've had so far, like as far as new like West Coast IPAs. I still think that this beer is incredible, but drinking these side by side, this one's a little bit sweeter. So I prefer the more old school feel of this beer. So I think this is what these beers are. Let's find out. It's gonna be wild if I'm wrong, but who knows? You always could be. I just feel like I've had Pliny enough to know that that's what that is. Ryu is Pliny. Ken is Elder Fu. So drinking them side by side is fun. And you can really tell like when people are saying if they don't prefer the sweetness of New School West Coast IPAs, why that is. Because this is a much sweeter tasting beer, and it's not sweet malty, it's just sweet fruity hops. But this is what I love about the evolution of West Coast IPA. This on its own is fucking awesome. But I'm also glad that this beer still tastes old school to me when drinking a new school versus an old school recipe beer. So Again, I'm the winner in this. I got to drink both of these. So yeah, I guess I'm an old school IPA guy at heart, right? So per usual, we will do this. And again, I know this isn't like a true blind battle beers because it's not the same beer, but there was a lot of people I've seen that were drinking them side by side, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I felt like I needed to. It felt necessary. What does he say? What did Johnny Depp say? I felt it necessary. Man, this smells fucking awesome together. It kind of mellows out that fruitiness, and you get more of that dank thing. Whew, is the cuvee the way to go? Cheers. Hashtag always cuvee. Oh, dude, this beer right here. Fucks. Wow, that's delicious. Because the pithy grapefruit rind lemon peel comes through and it cuts down the sweetness of the fruity hops. Like that red fruit, that red berry thing is still there, but it mellows it out a little bit. This is fucking fuego. Holy smokes, let's brew this. How do we do that? So, another blind battle beers in the books. This one, so fun. It was fun doing this. If you were lucky enough to get cans of Elder Fu, see if you can find a Pliny and drink it side by side with it, just so you can see the differences. Pliny has definitely evolved, but it still feels like when you're drinking them side by side, like an old school West Coast IPA at heart. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. See you guys soon. Cheers.
Thank you for coming behind the bar, in the arcade, all that shit.
Ever since I was younger, I was into video games.
Somebody like the Fuse so I can bring bad news to all these crews who can't NBA jam with the shoe.